everyone, welcome back to Bypass Carnivore. My name's Diane and I'll be your host on this video and every video that you click on this channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm actually surprised you made it through all those gloomy videos that I've done. So I think you're awesome for continuing to come back. So today I have a special guest, two special guests, and I'd like to introduce them to you. And I was doing so good professionally. I worked hard on this. Let's see, if you're new, oh, if you haven't smashed that thumbs up button, please do so. I would really appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, well, I'm going to be shameless and ask that you actually beg you to hit that subscribe button. And I promise you, I will be very grateful that you did. So again, today I have two very special guests with me, so sit back and enjoy our time together. And I'd like to welcome Jason and Bethany. So everyone, I would like to introduce you to Jason and Bethany.
Hi.
Why don't you introduce yourselves, tell us a little about yourselves, how old are you, that kind of thing.
My name's Jason. I am her son, and this is my beautiful wife, Bethany.
How long have you been married?
3 months.
3 months.
Yes.
Still feel like a honeymoon?
Always.
Always? What do you do for a living?
I'm a paramedic.
And I'm an EMT.
Okay. Okay, so the first question I want to ask you is, when we look around ourselves, everywhere we go, it's obvious that our country has a really bad obesity epidemic. As a paramedic and an EMT, what are your thoughts on this issue?
So that is one of the things that is discussed, is usually when you have somebody that is obese, they live a lifestyle where it is, I'm not harming anybody but myself. But when I have to show up on scene, then part of our job is to take you out of your situation and to help you. And sometimes your weight could actually be the reason why you don't make it to the care you need.
Okay. Any thoughts on why there's so many obese people in our country?
Because the American diet is horrendous and people are addicted to sugar because it fires off the same receptors in your brain that drugs do.
Very good. It's kind of amazing, I think, sometimes when you look at, just nature. You never see a fat bird that can't fly or a lion that's so overweight that he can't catch his prey. It's because they're eating their species appropriate diet. We here in America and across the world, we've got all this processed food and oils and all these things that, our ancestors didn't have. So if you look back in history, it was very rare to see a fat kid or a fat adult. I mean, they were there, but it was not as prevalent as it is today. So it makes you wonder how we got to this place where we just accept all this stuff that they say is good for us. You know what I mean?
Part of it is also the lack of exercise, because we'll spend hours sitting in front of a TV watching somebody else exercise.
Who's that sound like, Bethany?
I'm guilty of it myself.
Got to get them game systems in, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, Jason, if you don't mind, I'd like to put you on the spot for a minute. Is that okay?
Sure.
Let me know when we're ready.
Ready?
Alright, so this is the first question that's on everyone's mind. How did I do at the family reunion? Did I stick to the carnivore diet?
As best as you could.
Best as I could. What did I eat? Actually, you guys were down at the other end, weren't you?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. So, I ate on the carnivore diet. I stuck to it. All I had was the meat. So, however, there was an instant, wasn't there? A moment in time.
What do you mean?
I went to get a drink of water, and what happened?
Oh, you wanted Mountain Dew.
I didn't want it. Well,
You wanted it.
yeah, I did. I looked at it. I even touched it and turned it around. And then I turned it, saw him, and I put it back. So, yeah. So I think the family reunion was a success because I made it through. Now we're gonna get a little deeper here into what I want to talk about. So, you and I have always had that special ability to communicate and talk about things that most parent-child relationships don't talk about.
Generally.
So yeah, you agree with that. Keep in mind, I'm not asking you for details. You agree with that statement?
Yes.
Alright, so there is one topic that you and I have not really discussed. And I'd like to ask you a few questions about that topic.
Okay.
So, what was it like as a child? Because I have my perspective as an adult, as a parent, but as a child, what was, and having your own perspective, what was it like having an overweight parent?
In my perspective, it didn't actually like register until I was an adult where your weight was.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a visualization of just the normal.
Right.
If a child grows up seeing anything on a consistent basis, they're not seeing it as being out of the ordinary.
That's true. And we do have a lot of overweight people in our family, so we have kind of a mixture actually, but yeah.
It never really registered, like, oh, why is mom fat or anything like that.
Yeah. Did my weight ever concern you when, because of my weight, I didn't have the energy to do certain activities or,
I didn't see it until after I was an adult.
Really? Well, that's interesting because I honestly thought that, all this time I kind of thought that might have played on your mind sometimes, Did it ever bother you to introduce me to your friends?
No.
No? I'm glad about that. I always wondered about that. Okay. So, later as you got older and you started having more, later as I got older, okay, let me rephrase that, guys. Later, as you got older, and I started having more and more health issues, and started gaining even more weight. And pretty much became housebound at one point. As a young man, what was it like to have that responsibility put on your shoulders, fresh out of school, not really being able to get out there and socialize the way most young people do after they graduate, but what was it like to have that responsibility on your shoulders of not only taking care of me, but having to take care of the bills because my disability hadn't kicked in yet? What was that like?
Generally, I just saw it as, the thing I needed to do. The only times it really became issues was when I had female partners that were trying to get me away. And pointing out the fact that because we were so close that it was almost like a perpetual cycle of I wasn't dating them, I was married to you.
Because we were always together.
Because we were always together, our finances were intermingled. Just how we set up our lives.
Yeah. And people on the outside didn't really understand how we did things because on the outside looking at us, because I know there were several people, including in my own life, I know you had friends that did that, but I had several family members that even talked about, how how close we were and how much we intertwined, like you said, financially and everything. It wasn't normal.
Yeah, because generally coming out of high school, kids go off and make their mistakes and, blow all their money that they can on doing their life. And I was home taking care of business.
Yeah. Any regrets?
No.
What did you think when I told you I was going to have the gastric bypass?
I was more questioning what it was like because you figure at that point I had no medical training, no nothing.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, what's that going to do?
Yeah, you didn't have any worries or anything about how that surgery was going to be?
Usually when it came to medical things, you're not as open sometimes.
That's
So,
true.
It was more or less, I'm doing this, and it was kind of like, oh, okay.
What are your thoughts about what were your thoughts when you saw the weight coming off and I got really active and I started hiking and going to the gym and
I was
doing
excited
all those things,
because that was more or less seeing my mom get back to being my mom.
Yeah.
Like, my mom was Superwoman all the way up until pretty much I graduated high school, and then things just came off a cliff.
Yeah. And you felt like you were getting that back?
I was getting more independent myself because I wasn't having to worry about
taking care of me.
Yes.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, after seeing the weight come off and how active I was, did it bother you to see the weight coming back on when I started taking care of Grandpa?
It's a hard thing because watching you gain the weight, I know it affected you mentally, but it's part of that idea of why did it happen? Because you were sacrificing yourself to take care of Grandpa.
Yeah, I wasn't as active. I couldn't really go places. I hope this is coming out as far as sound on the video. So after Grandpa passed away, I reacted not too well with that situation, and I kind of retreated to my bedroom. And I became very immobile again. And of course, that weight started really picking up then. What'd you think of that?
At that point, it's more looking, because when I saw that, I did have medical training, and now I'm looking at it more from the stance of, now it's depression, it's...
Did it bother you to see that weight coming on and just being in my room all the time?
It definitely. I wasn't sure how to help you
Yeah.
because I couldn't just like pick you up and just shove you out the door and be like, live life again.
Yeah. I mean, losing somebody, we all know that you got to go through that grieving process, and sometimes it takes longer than others. And I think part of it wasn't just the fact that I was grieving, it was also the fact that
You blamed yourself.
oh, we won't go there today.
And unfortunately, that's one thing that if I could help you with one thing, it's the idea that it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, I know. It's just the way it all happened that night and day and how it all transpired. But I think it wasn't, not only was I trying to get through the grieving process, but I think for a long time, knowing that I had been in bed for a number of years and you had to help take care of me and all that, and I finally had this freedom to hike and bike and swim and do things, live life, things that I hadn't done since I was very young. And then to see all that weight coming back on. And it was like a freight train that I couldn't stop. You know, it was like there was no way to get that exercise in that I needed while I was home. Not that I regret being home with him, but that, you know, when you're not mobile again, then the depression starts to kick back in, and, you know, and that doesn't help. And so all that's so what are your thoughts on my doing the carnivore diet?
I don't completely understand it, and every person in my life and the trainings and things like that that I've done talk about the, you know, balance of meats, vegetables, things like that.
Right.
So I still have questions, but at the same time, like I can see you're more active, you're more, you know, doing things.
I mean,
so I like that part, but
yeah, but like, how many times while you guys were dating did you invite me to go places with you? And I said no. And I always had an excuse. And most of the time, it really was, well, sometimes it was because I was hurting physically and, you know, because I picked up the weight again, obviously. So I was starting to feel all those aches and pains and all that stuff again. But, you know, I mean, look where we're at today. We're out here in this beautiful spot, and we're walking and enjoying our time together. So you're seeing that as I continue this diet?
yes. But I also think a fire got set underneath your rear end when I went, I'm getting married, and you wanted to be in
I was
that.
already doing carnivore at that
Yes.
time. I was just struggling to stay on it.
Yeah, it gave you more motivation to stay.
Because you know what it is that always gets, you know, I'd go on it and I'd do really good, and then I would fall off the wagon and I'd do really bad, and then I'd get back on. So it's been a struggle over like the last year and a half, 2 years.
But it was motivation.
But guess what it was that made me fall each and every time? Can you guess?
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew. Every single time I failed, it was picking up a bottle of Mountain Dew.
It's like visiting Aunt Vicky when you tried to quit smoking.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I did quit smoking for like 3 years because they wouldn't do the gastric bypass without us quitting smoking, and so yeah, I quit all that time, and then I was over my sister's house one day, and well, over time going there, it was just like kept smelling better and better, and it's like, oh, just give me one, you know. So she'd give me one, and then the next time I came, I'd be like, just give me one, you know, and she'd be like, here, you know. And I did that over a few times, and then finally one day I showed up over there and I'm like, just give me one. And she said, go buy your own pack. And that's how that ended. All right, so, okay, as a couple, I have a few questions for you, and then we can wrap this up. All right, so just a couple of questions. Be 100% honest. Okay, you ready? Have either one of you watched a single carnivore video that I've sent you?
I have.
Ooh, you surprised me. Have you really? Which one?
I don't know. There's a few I've watched, but
Bethany?
No.
What did you think of the ones that I sent you? Or that you watched anyways?
again, there's still
Questions that you have?
questions, but yeah.
Yeah. I sent you a new one last night, actually. It was about a paramedic that lost 200 and some pounds in 15 months. Did you get a chance to
I haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah.
But I have watched some of the other ones.
I figured being in your profession that might catch your attention.
You'd be surprised how many people work in my field that are overweight.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Spending hours and hours sitting in a truck.
Yeah. Which is sad. They're in this health profession and sitting for long periods of time in between calls, and they're just picking up weight, picking up weight, picking up weight. And it's sad. It really is.
It's not just that, it's also the diet, because like I work 12 hours, 7B to 7A. The only thing that's open is get gum and cheats. What are you going to eat? If you don't pack food,
yeah,
you get what's available.
and if you're working during the day, it's the same thing. You're hitting all the fast food places, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We try to pack our lunch a lot, just because I have so many food intolerances. There's so much at gas stations that I can't actually eat.
Yeah. But before you came along into his life, I know Jason hit all them fast food places.
Yeah, but my weight is also maintained for years.
Yeah.
Of course, figure 2009 I was down to a 165 and put it right back on.
Yeah. So last question. Would either one of you consider doing a 30-day challenge, eating this way, and coming back onto the channel and letting us know how it went? And be honest. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it.
I would, just because of my food intolerances. Like right now, I'm mostly on
So are you allergic to meat?
only pork.
Only pork. So
Yeah.
you can have beef, chicken, lamb.
Right.
Buffalo.
Like
Buffalo?
right now, I'm mostly doing meat, vegetables, and some food.
Some fruits. So you're almost really actually kind of doing a keto diet,
Basically.
which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Modified keto because of all the other things. She can't have lettuce.
Yeah.
She's
So-
intolerant to lettuce.
So what about you,
So-
Jason? Would you consider doing a carnivore diet for 30 days?
It would be a struggle.
It would be a struggle, yeah. I mean, it's a struggle for any of us that try, but 30 days, I mean, you
And
can't.
love meat.
30 days is not a long time.
I do. I love meat, which is not the problem. It's the
Candy.
sugar. Well, I cut back quite a bit on my sugar.
You have.
But you're still doing it.
Occasionally.
Are you still doing energy drinks?
Sometimes. No, my biggest downfall is things like mac and cheese.
Yeah. Well, that was our...
I mean, my whole
I
generation
made that a lot,
grew up
didn't
on,
I?
the
Yeah.
power of cheese.
Yes, right. Well, it's not like you can't have some cheese on this diet. You can have some. So, all right. Any last words or thoughts? Either one of you have anything you want to share with the audience?
Not this time.
No.
Nah, you're done?
And I mostly just haven't watched the videos because I usually forget to.
So, this was actually my first interview on my channel, and I want to thank you for coming on and letting me ask you some questions. It made it easy because I knew you. So thank you for that. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this interview. And like always, I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.